Good afternoon, and thanks for having me over again. I'm really looking forward. I saw 15 likes, so I'm glad actually more people showed up, so thanks for that. I'm going to talk about citizen experience. I'm a Chief Experience Officer, which is basically a new role in our local government, and up till 2 years I used to work for corporates, big corporates, and actually I switched to the public domain to focus the second half of my career on adding value to our beautiful city of The Hague. And for those who don't know, it's in the Netherlands, and for those who don't know the Netherlands, it's close by. If you swim, you'll get there. Our city is based between Amsterdam and Rotterdam, and probably that rings more of a bell, but actually our city, The Hague, is the third largest city of the Netherlands, and it houses our parliament. And if you don't know that, maybe you know some well-known residents, because we also host the International Criminal Court. So there are famous people in our city. We actually have over 600,000 residents, and the city is known for very much of cultural diversity. So it's quite a mixed audience, so to say, with a lot of people coming from other countries. And therefore, customer experience, or in this case, citizen experience, is also very interesting, because you need to adapt to the different needs, different languages. So that makes our job even more interesting, I would say. In a year's time, there are more than 1 million at least calls to the contact centers, but as you can imagine, a city in itself, it offers a lot of services, so the interactions actually are far more multiplied in real events. A city is actually a construction that forms over time. So I won't run you through all these 3-letter codes, but rest assured there are big organizations behind it. And if you can imagine a city, what it does, it basically ranges to all life experiences. So we do things in healthcare, we manage cemeteries, we clean the city, we build the city, and we of course deliver services, either in the social domain, so people that struggle in life, that need some help financially or maybe psychologically, we actually offer that as well. We look after education, sports, so it's super diverse. And then coming in and trying to adhere to the tasks that I have, enhance service, it's quite a complex one. So we use a framework for CX, for citizen experience, which is based loosely on the framework you might know from customer experience, which is from the CXPA organization or Forrester. It all comes alike more or less. We use 6 themes that we focus on, one of which is IT, and I know there are a lot of techies in the room, so have a little bit of patience, and I'll come to the IT part soon. But first of all, I'd like to run through the other themes that we focus on, because IT in itself, it's not a goal, it's a means to an end. So what is the strategy? What are you actually aiming for? We defined guiding principles in our city that were formed actually based on research with our citizens, with companies in our city, and also based on employee feedback. So we constructed 6 guiding principles that actually are our North Star. So in the end, if we succeed, then service would look like how we phrased it actually in our guiding principles, and there's a lot of depth to that. I will spare the details. In order to know if we're doing a good job, we are measuring our service. That's something new, actually. We do it on 3 levels. There used to be a lot of measurement around interactions, so the contact centers or basically people coming to a desk. We would know the satisfaction score, but people do not by accident call the contact center, of course. There is always a customer journey behind it, so you need to actually know in which part of the journey do they contact us and how is the total journey perceived. And that in the end results into a score that basically tells us something about how trustworthy are we as a governmental organization, how do they look at the city of The Hague in terms of service, and we measure that now on a yearly basis to also see the effect that good service has on trust. And actually that model that we built is far more explanatory than we had expected in the past. So there is a high correlation between satisfaction in service and trust in your government, which is promising if you focus on service. Then we look into designing customer journeys or citizen journeys, and they are based on a framework we created. So we have a framework around citizen experience in citizen journeys, which over 200 journeys actually are underneath all these live themes. So I used to come from the corporate world where there was maybe a bit multi-dimensional products, but still it was the same type of product, maybe in different parts of the world where you service, but these are very complicated, different type of journeys. So enhancing them basically means you need to evaluate all these different citizen journeys and see how they actually perform, what can be enhanced, and also how citizens are experiencing them currently. But as you've probably heard a lot of times, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So it's nice to talk about strategy, to have these great charts and principles, but we need to get into the hearts and minds of the people that actually deliver the service. So that could be in either places that we offer. So we actually train people on the cemetery, literally, around our guiding principles. We also, of course, look after the staff in the contact centers or at the service desks, but also in the processes behind, because everybody basically is a service delivery attendant, although they don't know it, because they might be part of a value chain somewhere in the back end of a process. But still, it's very relevant that everybody feels that they are part of the solution to enhance the service. So that's why we focus on culture, but that's also why we are very critical around the way we are organized. As you've seen before, it's quite siloed. And what we're actually trying to achieve is that we actually organize ourselves better around customer journeys. A lot of companies have made that transition already, so looking into value chains and maybe flipping over a company and basically organizing yourself around these value chains. For a governmental organization to think that way is quite a challenge, but we like that type of challenge. So we are in talks with the board members that we need to really get more governance around these value chains. But we also look into some other parts of the organization, one of which the examples that we focused on last year is physical service. We actually had a centralization a few years ago where basically all services went to the city hall and people feel a distance literally to the government. And we actually did an experiment now by getting back closer to our citizens and driving around and just experiencing what type of questions are there and how you can deliver service more close by. And that was our first pilot to now raise the question, should we reopen physical locations closer to certain citizens that struggle with digital, that struggle with the vast proximity of where the city hall is. So those are things that we use to challenge, based on pilot results, the way we are organized. Okay, I promised you something about IT. I'm not a tech guy, but I'm going to do my best. We, of course, need IT in order to deliver on our promise and to make the strategy come to life. So that has multiple forms, and I think one of the most promising and also interesting things to share is that we are creating our own digital service platform. So we are trying to get out of the vendor lock-in of big companies that are used, actually, as we speak, within our government for certain specific solutions, and we're trying to generate a platform that is more common. So it enables processes, it enables integration with external providers or internally. It stores data, it uses data from multiple sources, and basically it's a package where you can, in open source, develop. We invite companies in our country to really invest in this type of low code. And we therefore open up sort of the code to other parts of our government. So we work with other municipalities, so the bigger cities in our country, but also the national government, in order to create basically a platform that is reusable. So build once and use multiple times. And that's, I think, the beauty of working in a public administration role. There is no competition between different cities. We're all trying to do the best for our citizens and the companies in our city. So why not reuse what's already been built and that actually works? So that's what we do. We are one of the front runners as The Hague on this type of platform, and now the bigger cities are jumping on board. So Amsterdam, Rotterdam and Utrecht, we really form a group of front runners, and then the smaller municipalities also learn and use the things we build. And just to give you one or two examples where AI then comes into play, we use AI for simple things. So triage, for instance, if a complaint comes in and you need to analyze it, it costs more time if a human does it, and that's, I would say, low value. So why not use AI to simply extract what the complaint is about and then send it over to the right department? I think that makes sense. I do agree with the former speaker that we shouldn't use AI just to optimize and create efficiency, but we see it in a different way, where there's really low value and a lot of effort put in, and where we see that the system is clogged, we use AI to enhance. Another example, which is, I think, a bit more interesting, is the one I have on video, and I'm hoping that works if we...
AI becomes even more powerful if we combine models. Like in this example, where we combine the LLM with a document scanning model to make case data more...
Can anyone hear the sound? Because
here,
I can't.
A rental contract...
So it needs to go up a little bit if possible.
Models. Like in this example, where we combine the LLM with a document scanning model to make case data more structured and usable. Here, a rental contract is...
Now I'm going to do my best to do the voiceover because I can't hear it. Actually, what happens here, if the case comes in and we have a complaint around a rent which is too high and not based on a legal permit, then we actually scan the complaint and we categorize it based on the specifics of the citizen. We look after what the actual rent is all about, and then we do a reimbursement based on that complaint. So actually AI is then used in our platform not only to categorize and analyze, but it's also used for tasking to enhance, I would say, the speedy delivery of a refund. I'm going to skip over this because the technology is failing. I'm sorry for that. We're going to, I'd like to fast forward now in the end of the presentation, more future look out what we're after. Basically, this is the starting point, and we are going now from, I would say, a lot of effort as a citizen. You need to find your way through all the different offers we have, the different services, and it's a lot of search. It's a lot of, I would say, own responsibility to find your way. So we're in the process of creating a more seamless experience. And in the end, what we're after is more proactive services. But that's sort of the next step. We still, as a government, have a lot to do to really get to the seamless part first. And where AI then comes in is we see it as a threefold. So on the one hand, we use it as an acceleration of our human capital, so the employees we have in our company, actually we want to empower them more by using AI and digital tooling. We want to be as relevant as possible, and AI will also help us to sort of create the city hall in your pocket. What that means I'll show later on. So we see AI first of all as a way to accelerate human steer. So that means that riding an electric bike, same as a normal bike, you still have the ability to make your own decisions. You're just a human on steroids. And basically what we're after is reducing the tasks that have low quality and also a bit of pain in them, where citizens do not actually would not bother to have contact if the journey wasn't broken. So we need to fix some things that are there. But we also acknowledge that humans are there for care. So we have a lot of human interaction that actually adds value, and we should keep that and hopefully use the time we create also to invest more in that. We do that by introducing a listening assistant in the contact center, really acknowledging what the conversation is about, coming up with next best action solutions, and also automated login of the interactions in itself. We want to be as relevant as possible, and that's also where AI and CRM can help us. We are in the process of defining, will we build this ourselves or will we actually buy something off market? And as you can imagine, hearing my first talk about building yourself, we are experimenting if we can do that. And then we want to create intelligence in the interfaces that we use. So not only an agent would have a benefit of the AI engine, but also in the end, if the model is proven, our citizens will as well. I'm going to rush to the end. So we're going to focus last on creating a city hall in your pocket. And as many companies have already created an app. We see that also as an integral part of our ecosystem. It's not there yet, so we're in the process of developing and creating the MVP. And this is where AI will also play a pivotal role, because that will be sort of our way to easily personalize and interact with our citizens close. So, thanks a lot for your attention, and that was it.